I don't know if you can see it from where the camera's at right now. Let me move you up a little bit. Okay, there, now you can see it. The driver's side manifold is in place, and I don't know if you can tell by the orientation or not, but it's pretty close to the back of the power steering pump. Gotta put the light in place so we can see what we're doing, because I'm not a bat and I don't work in the dark. So, there we go. Let there be light. So I think you can see now, we got 3 holes cut in this thing, and we're going to kind of connect the dots here and cut this section out so the turbo sits down where we want it to. Alright, there we go. One slightly rearranged inner fender. I'm going to leave that cut really rough right now until we get the turbo in its final resting place, and then we'll come back and straighten the edges up and make it look like we intended it to be there. Okay, so we've got a large portion of the driver's side completed right now, as far as the intermediate pipe that connects the manifold to the turbo. The next thing we're going to work on, we're going to put a little straight piece of tubing in here. Alright, so if for some crazy reason you are following along on this build and you're using this as a guideline, this is one of the biggest tips that I can give you, and only a tip. It's just a tip. Just the tip. Well, anyways, when you go to do this part of the turbo kit, this is probably the most important part as far as longevity is concerned, because this area right here, where the 2 pipes come together underneath the turbo, is where the most of the heat collects. So when you go to fit these 2 tubes together, the best thing you can do for your turbo kit is to make sure they fit very good and that the weld is very good as well. Because a thick, heavy, or undercut weld or a gap or something like that that you've had to fill in is going to be the first place it'll crack. So we're going to continue on. There's always a little bit of trial and error in this process. It's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, so let's do it. We're just going to wing it and see what we got. We're just going to start out with a couple of marks. We're going to do a couple of cuts in the bandsaw. Okay, I made a quick cut in it. I know after looking at the car that I want this pipe to be straight up and down, so it means I'm going to cut more out of the inside of this bend right here. So we're going to take the grinder to it and start working it with a grinder now. Okay, so that's getting better already. Now we got to resist the temptation to grind further down the pipe, because that's not where the problem is. Okay, so just in that short amount of time, we already got a pretty good fit. Now it still needs quite a bit, but it's getting good though. So you can see right up in the joint, it's starting to look pretty good. Down there at the bottom, it's going to need quite a bit, but I'll show you how we fix that. Okay, so what I'm after in this particular case, you can see I already got the tube standing up and down. But what I want to do is now I want to make a little uniform gap along this edge right here. The reason why I want to do that is because I want this gap to disappear. So when I make this uniform gap around here, I'm going to start trimming the bottom of it till the tube sinks down and it closes the gap. Right now it's just a pretty good fit, and if we really wanted to, we could weld it right there, but that's not the right way to do this particular thing. So the gap is approaching 1/8 of an inch or so. So we're going to shoot for 1/8 of an inch, maybe 3/16, and then we'll trim the bottom. All right, that looks pretty good. So we repeated that process a couple of times. Got the 2 pipes fitted together real good. Now we're going to go back and mark this pipe with the Sharpie, cut that piece out on the inside. We'll tack it together and we'll test fit it on the car. All right, we got the inside of this one cut out. Just it's kind of a rough shape, you know, it doesn't have to be perfect, just inside of the line. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and tack it together, and then from there we can go ahead and weld it up and grind the inside of it out and make it look good, and then that'll be pretty much it for the crossover pipe. The rest of it's real simple stuff. Okay, so check it out. We got the other side fitted. I'm going to show you real quick what it looks like before we weld it and before we do the grinding work on it. So there's the inside of it. Nice and neat. Very little work left to do. Outside fits really good. All in all, that took about 30 minutes with a grinder, a couple of cuts with a bandsaw, and that was it. I mean, that's sweeter than a Pop-Tart right there. So we'll go ahead and weld this piece up completely. At least the flange portion of it we will. So in closing, that's really it. That's the quick and easy way to fit a merge when you have a setup kind of like that. It gets a little more complicated when you have a radius meeting a radius. It's just one of those things that takes a little bit of practice to get the hang of it. So next video hopefully will be either the cold side or the downpipe. I'm not sure what order we're going to do that in yet. So if you haven't, give it a thumbs up. Tell me what you think down below if you do anything different. So thanks again for stopping by, checking out the video. Big shout out to all the new subscribers. Quite a few have joined up here in the past couple of weeks. And one more thing to say, in these videos that I make, it's just the way that I do things. There's more than one way to do it. There's more than one tool to do it with. And it's not the right way, it's not the wrong way, it's just the way that works. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. We'll see you in the next video.